Oh, John is not good with the technology. I was just saying, John's not good with the technology today. I'm like, oh man, what button do I hit?
Well, you only have like 20 windows open also.
This is true.
So,
I'm one of those people that has a lot of tabs open.
You do.
Whenever
it drives me insane.
Well, for me, I always feel like I'm going to it was like something really interesting that I wanted to read more about, but I needed to do something else. And so I'll leave the tab there so that I can come back to it later. At least that's the thought process.
Right. Sure. No, I get it. Totally.
Now, what I do not like is when the computer shuts down
and
now I've lost all my tabs, right? But yes.
Welcome.
First world problems.
First. Yes.
So John and Wendy Williams here. We were here last Sunday.
Yes,
if you didn't catch that, go back, watch last Sunday's. I forget kind of what we talked about.
Oh no, it's been a really long week.
Yes, we've slept since then. But just pointing out that, hey, we're not Jay. Surprise if you were expecting Jay today. But who we are, we're John and Wendy Williams. We are part of the CashFlowDiary team here. And we happen to be the accountability coaches for the program currently. So we're coming to you today to kind of give you, maybe you can just listen to somebody else and give Jay a break today. And we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, actually.
Yes, you do love the pricing.
Yes. Well, it's where the money comes from.
Yes.
That's the whole reason we're doing it, right? And if you don't know, besides being coaches, we are also actually short-term rental operators ourselves.
Yes, we've been students of Jay's for years now.
Yes.
I want to say 2 or 3 years now.
Yes, and we own and operate here in Charlotte, North Carolina market. Mary had a really good question because I kind of make assumptions that people know what I'm talking about. So accountability coaching is, we have a product in CashFlowDiary called the Roadmap. Excellent. If you're in short-term rental game or you want to get into the short-term rental game, or if it's just anything that you are excited about at all, I highly recommend that program. But what it is it takes you step by step. It's literally the roadmap to profits, if you will, since that's what we're talking about today, within the short-term rental field. And inside that program, not only do you get what you would expect, meaning course material and things like that, but you also get live group coaching with Jay. So you get that access. In fact, we do that 4 times a week Tuesday, currently, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, every single week, which is highly valuable. And then the third part of that program is accountability.
That's where we come.
Because if anything that you do, accountability is always the big piece of it. And that's where you get kind of that one-on-one with either Wendy or I. Right. And our job is to say, Jay told you to do this on Monday. Did you do that thing? And we also, because we operate, can, give you some advice and insight and a little more personalized attention that way too.
Right. And I like it because everybody comes into the program at a different place. Right.
Some people are brand new, have no unit. Some people have been operating for a while and just want to do it better. So yes, I think where you were going with that is
it's customizable.
Yes.
To your specific needs and wants and what your end goal is.
Right. So thanks for asking the question, Mary, because I'm sure there was somebody who was like, you're what? But yes, that's what that is. I didn't mean that to be a sales presentation for the roadmap, but I do totally believe in it and think it's a great product. And I'd invite you to come join us if that's something you're interested in at all.
So,
but anyway, today, let's talk about pricing.
Let's talk about the good stuff.
And I think
this is where the money is.
Yes.
So we're going to be talking about pricing and, more importantly, how to come up with it. So what's the title for today?
I knew you'd forget. That's why I wrote it down. It's right here.
I'm glad you wrote it down. Forecasting your profits based on today's prices. That's
yes,
right.
Which I take to mean, people ask this in many different ways. That's a more sophisticated way of saying, so how much am I going to make?
Yes.
Because that's really what you're looking for. If you're going to make an investment in a property, even if you're going to do it the way we suggest you do, by starting out with actually renting the properties rather than owning them. But even if you're going to own it, either way you're going to do that, there's an investment there, right? And part of any investment is, what do I expect my return to be?
Right.
Because I'm not doing this just for fun. I'm doing this to actually make money and have my dollars work and all those good things, right? And so that's kind of the question people ask. Another way people ask that question is, what sort of nightly rate should I set?
We get that a lot.
Right. And surprisingly, these types of questions don't have straightforward answers, actually. You would like them to, and especially us being real estate people and coming from the world of flipping houses and owning long-term rentals and things like that, there's a lot more, what's a good way to say this? There's a lot, it's easier to come up with comparables. So it's easier to say, for example, if you had two rentals on the same street that were long-term rentals and they both rented for, they're probably going to rent for around the same amount, assuming they have the same number of bedrooms and everything. So 2 houses right next to each other on the same street. If you were to turn them to a long-term rental, if one rents for $1,500, the other one probably rents for around $1,500 as well.
Right.
And you can consider those as comparables. What's difficult when you get into the short-term rental world is, if now those same 2 houses are short-term rentals, they can actually rent for vastly different amounts, because it's not so much about the real estate anymore, although location is important and the number of bedrooms is important. But the main thing that's important when you get to this side of investing is the experience that you're providing.
Yes. And the type of customer that you are serving.
Yes. And so that's where we thought we would start with this conversation, because it will kind of lead you down the path of how you actually can get to those forecasts and because then the question becomes, well, how do I know how much I'm going to make? And there is a way to get there. But it's a little different path than you might think.
And it all starts with the type of experience that you personally, your business is providing out there in the marketplace. Who are you serving? Because there's different levels of experience that your business can provide. For example, we serve families with children and pets coming to town who are in between housing, relocating to the area, or have an insurance claim on their personal property.
And that's the vast majority of, and we also get people just visiting family and things like that.
That's
But
true.
That's who we're set up for.
Yes.
That's who.
But we started out with that.
Yes. And you
Customer in
you
mind.
need to start there. And CashFlowDiary teaches that. Jay teaches that. I've found that to be true in my own business. And if you think about it, that's the way companies operate. For example, a Marriott doesn't buy a building and put a hotel up and then say who would come stay there.
Right.
They say who stays at a Marriott. I know they have many different brands, but one particular brand of Marriott, who stays there. And now where do we go put a hotel that those people are? See, that's a little bit different way of thinking, right?
Yes.
And I think that's kind of backwards from normally what we do in real estate. We get the property and then we try to figure out what to do with it.
Right.
And that's kind of backwards.
Right.
So your profitability is always going to start in this business with who are you serving? And then I think you alluded to levels of service as well.
What level of service? So the hotel analogy,
that's a really good one.
Is a really good one. You can also think about it in terms of buying a burger too. Do your burger analogy.
You like the burger one better?
I like the burger one too, because I'm hungry, because it's lunchtime.
Yes, I know. So there's two different analogies that I really like. I'm an analogy person. Everybody learns differently, but I really like analogies. And I think this one helps me understand the concept a lot. So then there's 2 that I like. I'm going to do the hotel one first.
Do the hotel one first.
So asking me what your nightly rate should be is kind of like asking me, what does a hotel room rent for in Charlotte? Because now I'm going to have to come back and ask you, are you staying at the Red Roof or are you staying at the Hilton?
They both make money.
They do both make money, but they're 2 totally different price points. And I'll also point out that the people that stay at the Red Roof would never stay at the Hilton because it's too expensive. And the people that stay at the Hilton would never stay at a red roof because it's a red roof, right? And so there are customers for both. So that's kind of what we're talking about when we're saying, who do you want to serve? It's even at that level. It's not just families with children, but are they Hilton people or are they red roof people?
Right.
The other analogy I really like is it's kind of like asking the question, how much does a cheeseburger cost in Charlotte? And again, I have to come back and ask you, are we talking McDonald's or are we talking Ruth's Chris? Because they both sell cheeseburgers, but one of those is $15 and the other one's $1.38, right? And so that is the same thing with this. It's kind of like, what is my daily rate? Well, what product are you providing, right? And so that kind of just lays the groundwork for how we're going to talk about this and think about it.
Yes. So now that you have determined what customer you want to serve and what level of experience you want to provide, then now you can really get down and into the nitty gritty, really, and get very specific. So we have a tool for that.
Yeah. So I'll share a tool with you. You may be familiar with it, you may not, but it's, I think, a really great one. I have to figure out how to do that.
I think it's this button right here.
I have to actually share.
Yeah. And then click on this.
I want the application window for that.
Okay.
I think.
Oh.
See? And that did that cool thing. But the website I really want to show you is one called AirDNA. And yes. So if I'm going to share web browsers, hopefully that looks okay and you can see it. But basically what AirDNA is, it is an aggregate of all of the data that comes from two major platforms, Airbnb and HomeAway. Vrbo. Sorry, it's Vrbo now. I'm so used to calling it HomeAway, but if you didn't know, they've now rebranded. They're just Vrbo. And what this will tell you is that, well, I'll just say the first good thing about it is it's all of the actual data from those two platforms. So you can come in here and you can see that I brought up, this is Santa Monica in California. And the reason I brought that one up is because it's an area that I'm not totally familiar with. And it's also the one that is their free demo. So you can also go here and see this same type of data if you want to just check it out. But again, it's all of the data, which sounds like a good thing at first. The bad news is it's all of the data,
right?
Which means it's like those two houses that are right next door to each other. And we've already established that they may have different pricing because they serve different customers. One may be a Hilton, one may be a red roof, right? So how do you take aggregate data, because it's just giving you an average, and translate that into your specific location? And I think one of the best ways to do that is start thinking in terms of what value do I bring? What customer am I serving? And then start looking for not averages over everybody, but start looking for other locations and other businesses that seem to be serving the same type of customer in the same type of way, in the same type of location that I'm in.
So you're talking about being very specific.
Yes.
Okay. So let's do an example.
Yes. So for example, they're telling me in Santa Monica up here, over the course of a year, average daily rate is $204. An average daily rate is the amount you made in the entire month divided by, well, in this case, the year, divided by the number of days that were actually occupied. So if you were occupied 50% of the year and you made, oh gosh, I just did bad math in my head.
You did.
But yes, so it's the average, it's the occupancy, or it's the amount that you made divided by the number of days that were actually booked. Occupancy rate is how occupied you were. And you can see here in Santa Monica, at least for the past 12 months, it's averaged 71%. And then they're showing you what the average revenue is. But again, this is everybody.
Right.
These are entire homes. These are private rooms. These are shared rooms. These are people who just rent it out on the weekends when they go on vacation, all the way up to people who have multiple locations and do it professionally like we do. So these averages don't mean a whole lot to me as real numbers, but what they do tell me are trends. Like, for example, I can see that in general, there's more revenue to be made in August in Santa Monica than in May.
Right.
And I can also see that it looks like July is way more occupied than April. And I can also see that it looks like, well, that makes sense. You make more money in July than you do in April. So that's the first thing that I would point out, that unlike a long-term rental or another investment like that, it's very seasonal. And what I mean by seasonal is it's by month. So January is different from February. February is different from March, all the way through the year, really.
And we know that based on our own personal experience.
Yeah. So for us here in Charlotte, it happens to be July, just like Santa Monica is. June, July is kind of our high season, we call it. And then January, we know it's going to suck. January's not going to be good.
Right.
But we know that trend, and our trend lines look very similar to Santa Monica, actually.
Yeah, it does.
Here in our market. Something else I would point out to you on here is this right here. It's telling you that 87% of listings in Santa Monica are on Airbnb, but only 7% are on VRBO, and only 6% are on both. So if I'm looking at this from a business owner perspective, I'm thinking, hey, there's a huge opportunity for me to be on VRBO because nobody else is, or at least 93% of people aren't. And if I'm on both, I'm in the 94th percentile, or whatever that is, right? So that's just something I'm seeing. It's data. It's things I'm taking in to say, how profitable can I be? What's the opportunity there for doing perhaps better than someone else, or better than the average? Always want to be better than average. If you look down here at amenities, you can see what types of things people have in their homes. And I'm seeing that, well, it looks like to me only 15% have a pool and only 8% have a hot tub. So if I wanted to increase profitability over the average, perhaps I would be providing a pool or a hot tub.
Can I get a hot tub?
Can I get a hot tub? Right. And then the other thing I will point out down here that's also, I think, valuable in this discussion is average ratings among different categories. And those categories are accuracy, check-in, value, cleanliness, communication, and location. And these are what guests are rating the individuals on. And I can see in Santa Monica, it looks to me that there are areas for improvement on average in value and areas for improvement on average in cleanliness. So that would be something I would be looking at in my operation to make sure that I'm cleaner than average and that I provide more than average value.
Mm-hmm. That's really good.
Because that's going to bring money back to the operation as well, right?
Yep. So this is very general.
It is.
And so if we really want to get some good data, that's what we're looking for, right? Is data.
What people are really asking for is, I want comps.
Yes. So in order to do that, we need to get more specific than this.
Yes. And the good news is all of the listings are over here on the map. So what I would suggest, if you really want to get down to real true comps, stay away from the averages and go to the area that you're in. Like, for example, again, I'm not hugely familiar with Santa Monica,
do that.
but I see UCLA Medical Center right here in Santa Monica. And supposing that was the area I wanted to be in, I would actually start looking at the actual listings like this one. It looks like this one here is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath bungalow, it says, which sounds like a house to me. It looks like their average daily rate is $168 and they're 63% occupied.
Ooh, look, it only says 38 days availability.
Right. So, but they only have 38 days available, which tells me that this is probably someone who does not do it professionally because they've only got 38 days available out in the past 12 months.
Right. So they're probably
I rent it out when I go on vacation.
I rent it out so this is not my competition.
Right. I would not consider that a comp because I'm a professional operator and I'm open all year round. So I would just throw that one out. Say, I don't care about that. I can
just tell based on that one picture that's not a professional picture right there.
Yes, that's another thing you would look at. Here's one right next to it. 2-bedroom, 1-bath again. They're getting $152 a night at 86% occupancy, but they're available 213 days in the past 12 months. So they're probably open all year round. And so I would say, okay, maybe that's a candidate. And then I would click on it and say, let's go actually look at the listing. And I see that it's not even available.
Oh, that's
so even though it's on AirDNA, this listing currently is not available on Airbnb anymore. So it either tells me that they have given up, or they've snoozed the listing, or perhaps they aren't open anymore.
Oh, interesting.
So now I'm throwing that one out as a comp in Santa Monica in my area.
Okay.
But I just want to point out that AirDNA has not, and it is including it in the averages over here.
Right.
So see how I'm starting to eliminate things that aren't really. This one here, they're only available 154 days, but they're at $292, but only 23% occupancy.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Right. But I can tell again by the pictures that it's not.
Yeah, you can tell that's not a
professional. Go a little quicker now. So here's another one. This one's $145 a night at 68% occupancy. This one's $145 at 90% occupancy. They're very close to each other. Okay, here's another one. They're only available 33 days, so I'm throwing them out. They're only available 47 days. I'm throwing them out. 113 days, 150 and 52. So I'm seeing rates somewhere around $152 a night on average. It looks like to me for people that are doing it professionally with 2-bedroom houses.
Interesting. Okay, so that's a really good way to use this tool.
Yes, I can stop doing that.
So this
now.
is AirDNA is a tool.
It is a tool
that you can use.
So now we're getting closer, right?
Information.
Now I'm getting closer to, okay, here are some actual places that I think are actually like mine, that are actually serving clients that are similar to that I'm serving. And basically what I'm looking for, and going back to that analogy, is if I'm a red roof, I'm looking for other red roofs.
Yes.
If I'm a Hilton, I'm looking for other Hiltons. If I'm serving families with children and I'm providing things like high chairs and kids plates, I'm looking for places that are serving, that have high chairs and kids plates, right? And the other places I'm kind of excluding from my comp set because they're not really competition for me.
Yeah. So now that you have checked out the marketplace, right, and gotten a really good idea of what's out there and what other people are getting, like you just said, looks like on average people are getting about $150, $200 a night on average.
Yes.
Much.
So and you should spend more time than that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to bore you with an hour of me going through comps.
Right.
But you should. Yes, Mary, it's AirDNA and it's .co.
Right. AirDNA.
And I have no monetary affiliation with them at all. It's just a tool I use.
Yeah. So now that you've done that, now what you want to do is compare it to what number do you need to get, right? Because we don't want to lose. We're not in this business to lose money.
Right.
Right.
So assuming I've come up with good comps and I think, okay, it's on average, it's 80% occupancy at $152 a night. That now computes to a number, correct?
Yes.
On average for a year.
Right. So now you personally in your business need to come up with a number that you need to get.
Yeah. So we come up with two numbers. To be specific, we come up with the Warren Buffett number, I like to call it.
Yep. John calls it the Warren Buffett number.
I call it that because it's the don't lose money number.
Don't lose money number.
That's the one that's probably my second favorite number, but I like it because I don't like to lose money. So, and that number, the way you're going to calculate that is you're going to take your monthly expenses, meaning everything that it costs you to own and operate that property, utilities, your rent or mortgage if you're paying a mortgage, your insurance, the monthly price of any software that you're using. For example, pricing tools that you may be using, that AirDNA subscription, perhaps, all of that stuff, all of the things that you as a business, and in particular that unit, expends, whether someone stays there or not, because that is your, hey, nobody's staying there number. And that's the monthly bills that we absolutely has to cover.
Hey,
Correct.
Renata, how are you? Good to see you. Yes. So
that's essentially your break-even number.
Right,
so in this particular example, what I would do is I would take that number,
don't lose money,
and I would divide it by 70% of a month. So what's 70% of a month?
I don't know.
No, it was 80%.
80% was 24.
Okay, so 24 days. So I'm going to take whatever that minimum number is. I know, for example, in one of our properties, it's
2,000.
Around 2,000. We fudge it up. It's really like 1,800 and something.
Right.
But we round it up to 2,000 just as an additional buffer. And then we would divide that by 24. And let's just do that. I know you can't see my calculator, but what is that number?
Not really sure.
2,000 divided by 24 is $83 a night.
So round that up to, because it's 83.333.
Correct.
So round that up to 84.
Right. So I know that if I at least get $84 a night at 80% occupancy, then I will be able to pay all of my bills.
Yes.
And that's my Warren Buffett number.
That's your Warren Buffett.
So if I was going to set a nightly rate, I believe my minimum I would want it to be at least $84.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
But I'm not in business not to lose money. I'm in business to make money, right? And so the very next thing I'm going to do is now I'm going to calculate in the same way, but I'm going to take that base expenses and I'm going to add my desired profit. And in our case, that's where you hear that $800 a bedroom that Jay talks about. So let's say this is a 2-bedroom place. So I'm just going to take that $2,000 and add it's $800 a bedroom. So that's an additional $1,600.
Mm-hmm.
So 2,000 plus 1,600.
1,600.
That's $3,600 now.
And now take.
You still following me?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to divide that by the same 24. So let's divide that by 24. And that tells me that if I get $150 a night at 80% occupancy, then I will make my $800 a bedroom in my 2-bedroom place. Does that sound reasonable?
Yes. So now you've calculated two numbers, your don't lose money number and your profit number.
Yes. And so go ahead.
So now that you know those two numbers, now you can compare those two nightly rates with what you just
the market research we just
did on AirDNA, right? So now you can say, okay, well, am I even in the ballpark?
Correct. And
right?
So in this case, I came up with, hey, if I really want to make that $800 a bedroom, and Renata, that's correct, $800 net per bedroom.
Yes.
So just to go back over that, I took $800 per bedroom because it's a 2-bedroom place. That's $1,600. And I added that $1,600 to my expenses because I've got to pay the expenses, right?
And we're in business to make
which are
money.
$2,000 in this case. And that gave me $3,600, which I then just divided by my expected occupancy of 80%, which turns out to be 24 nights a month on average. And so that tells me that if I can get $150 for those 24 nights, I'm going to make my $800 a bedroom. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that $150 and say, is that in my market, is that a realistic number? And from our previous perusal of AirDNA, it seems that a reasonable number would actually be more like $154. So I'm probably maybe even going to get better than my $800 a bedroom.
Right.
And so now I feel a lot more confident now that I've developed true comps, now that I've developed a truer temperature of my marketplace or gauge of my marketplace, and I've run my numbers. Now I feel pretty confident that in Santa Monica, so long as my expenses are $2,000, I'm going to be doing pretty well. Or at least I'm going to be hitting the targets I want.
Right. So, but there's something else, right? That it's not just nightly rate where you can make money.
Right.
Yes.
So
and we're about to get into the secret sauce right here.
Right.
But wait, the answer Zarell's question. Mr. Casey, how do you know what number to choose if you're in an area with very low competition or no units to observe? My area only has 3 purple dots on AirDNA.
In those cases,
Oh, man.
I have an answer for you.
Okay.
In those cases, and I did not point this out in the previous analysis, but it's something that you also want to notice in your market. If you have extended stays in your market or other hotels or other hospitality places that are not Airbnb and VRBO, you can get pricing from them as well. So for example, you could go to, using that analogy again, if I'm a red roof, then I'm just going to say, well, what is a red roof or a red roof style hotel? What are they getting in the area, and what kind of occupancy are they getting? And if they're publicly traded companies, oftentimes that data is available. But yeah, so I'm going to start looking at other things like that. But you're correct. It is harder the less data you have. I'll grant you that. And that's, for us, why we tend to like to be in areas with lots of, quote, competition, which I think is kind of a dirty word because most of those people aren't competition. Right. In fact, I eliminated a bunch of them as I was going through the comps as people I'm just not considering competition at all because they don't serve who we serve.
Or they're not professional.
Right.
Good question.
But good question, yeah.
Good question. Very good question.
And I will also say something that Jay tells me all the time is pricing is the hardest part.
Yes.
It is the hardest part.
It really is. It really is.
And it's something you always have to be managing. Mm-hmm. But
okay, so let's get into the secret sauce.
Yeah. So yeah. So the real secret to profitability is not in nightly rate.
Yes.
Even though that's where we focus this entire time, the real secret is not in nightly rate.
That's exactly right.
The real secret is it really doesn't matter how I make that $1,600 extra dollars because there's more than one way to get it.
And you may not in January and September, we don't make those numbers.
Well, yes.
So we've got to come up with it someplace else.
Yes, and I would point out that that's $800 a bedroom net is an average. So again, in the example with Santa Monica, that's why I was looking at trends because I know in July, I probably have to do better than $150 a night. And in January, or I believe April was the lowest one there. In April, I'm probably not going to expect to get $150 a night. So now let's talk about outside of room rate. What are some other things that you could do? What are some other tweaks you can do to increase profitability?
You can offer, just like we just did, actually 5 minutes before this live stream started.
That's right. Yes.
We had someone message us and say, hey, is an early check-in available?
Right. Because it's something that we offer.
Because we offer it.
So for every guest that comes through our door, our rule for our business is if the previous night is not booked, then we automatically are going to offer them, hey, if you would like to arrive before 4 p.m., here are 3 different choices on pricing. If you would like to come at 2 p.m., it's $40. If it's 12 o'clock is $50. I forget what our actual times are because we don't actually send those messages anymore. They're automated. But we give them pricing choices, and we sold one today.
Yep, sure enough.
And I forget how much was that
they
one?
wanted the 2 o'clock, so we just made an extra $40.
So it was an extra $40.
And I've got to message her back here when we get done.
Right. Do you remember how many nights their stay is?
It's quite a few. I want to say like 12 or 14.
Oh, so it's a big one.
It's a big one.
So that's not a ton of extra money per night.
No.
I really wanted you to say 4, so I could say we made an extra $10 a night.
Sorry to bust your bubble. I'm sorry, but this is a long stay.
But that's the easier math for me to do. So say it was a 4-night stay and they wanted to check in early. Well, you just increased your revenue per night by $10, right? And so now that doesn't have to come out of nightly rate. Right. What's another way?
So you got early check-ins. So we actually make money on our cleaning fee.
That's a secret. So we actually charge more in a cleaning fee than we are charged by the cleaners. Yes. Now, part of that is us putting money aside because every so often we need to do a deeper clean. You don't, a turnover clean isn't really the same thing as, okay, let's reset for the year and do a deep clean, or every month, or however often you're doing that. And especially in our case, because we serve families with children and pets, you need to do more cleaning and you need to do deep cleans more often. So some of that is just us putting aside funds, but inevitably at the end of the year, we end up with more cleaning revenue than we have cleaning expenses. And then that just goes directly to the bottom line, does it not? So that's another way that we actually increase our profitability by just tweaking that little thing.
So I know that some people also have car rentals available.
Yes.
For their
services like Turo. Have you ever heard of them?
Turo.
So it's a platform much like Airbnb, but for cars, right? So if you have a car, you can stick it on Turo and rent it out to people, but you could also make that available to your guests as an option, and perhaps even rent to them directly and not pay the Turo fees, right? So that's a way to bring more value again to your listing, and in turn bring more profits to your bottom line that have nothing to do with nightly rate at all.
Okay. Right? And we'll just, Jeremy, we're giving away all the.
Jeremy says, don't give away too many secrets.
Okay. One more
secret. Because we've got thousands of these.
There's a whole bunch, but this one's really, really good. And I really wanted to put this one out there. Partnering with local businesses.
Yeah. This is one that you actually really just like.
I really like this because I like to support the local economy, and we as short-term rental business owners can do that. So not only are we providing jobs for cleaners, runners, but what we can also do is partner with other local businesses, such as maybe a local chef. Maybe you can partner with a local chef to either come into the home and cook if you've got a kitchen, or provide those takeout services, which are very popular right now. You can also partner with a masseuse. The masseuse can either come into the home and
I'm not sure is that a COVID thing now?
But maybe not right now. But what I really like, and this is my favorite.
Okay.
I really like partnering with local artists and local furniture places. So what happens is the local artist provides the artwork for your unit, and people staying there say, oh man, I really like this artwork. And yet there's a plaque on the bottom that says this is for sale. We can either drop ship it to your house, or you can take it home with you for this such and such price. So now not only have you supported a local artist, you have also provided an extra value to your customer by giving them something local that they can now take home with them as like a souvenir. You can also do this with local coffee shops, which is really kind of
we
cool.
have one that they locally brand their coffee.
Yes, and it's called Smelly Cat.
Yes, it's called Smelly Cat.
I really
That's
like
right.
it. I really like it because I'm a huge Friends fan.
That's right.
So
That's a Friends.
I like Smelly Cat. And soap. Local soap makers are also a really great way to partner with. But local restaurants, you could partner with local restaurants. I mean, just think outside the box here, because there are just so many opportunities. That's just the tip of the iceberg.
And they don't seem like big things. It's $5 here, $10 there,
totally,
$20 here. But at the end of the year, when you see the number that added up, that becomes very significant. And depending on the size of your operations, it could be tens of thousands of dollars in additional revenue that you've brought in that really have nothing to do with nightly rate or occupancy or any of those things. It's just the fact that you're bringing more value to the marketplace, and the marketplace will then in turn pay you for that value.
And that's the secret sauce.
And that's really the secret to pricing and profitability and all of those things.
Yep.
Any opportunity that you have to bring more value and be able to do it more efficiently which is something we kind of didn't cover, but
Ooh.
just one secret, that automatic message that people get about the early check-in, that's an efficiency that we have placed in our business that literally costs us nothing, but brings us revenue back. So those kind of efficiencies are super important as well. And I'll just leave that there. But yeah, and I think that's kind of what we wanted you to get out of this presentation, that it's all about the value you bring. It's all about, and that's all tied into who you're serving, all of those things. And nightly rate is just one piece of it. It's a big one.
Right.
And it's one that you have to have there, but it's not the only one. And that's how you differentiate yourself. That's how you eliminate words from your vocabulary like competition. Because truly, the more value you're bringing, the less competition there is, in the sense.
Right.
So,
ooh, that's good. Good stuff.
You want to go through some of these comments and
okay.
See,
I've been kind of
you've been watching them.
Okay. And Mr. KC, we answered his question.
We did.
Does anybody else have any other questions about the
4 times per week? I think that's when we were talking about the calls that we do.
Yes.
Roadmap is where it's at.
Yeah.
That's here. I get to show some of these comments. Isn't that cool? Roadmap is where
that's
it's at.
cool. That's cool. You can show that. That's so professional.
Yes, it really is. That's where it's at. What value do I bring? What customer I'm serving? Yes.
That's what it's all about. That's the secret sauce.
Somebody's hungry. Fairly certain you can get a cheeseburger at McDonald's for something around that.
Yep.
Maybe even cheaper. Yeah. Yeah. Huge opportunity to be on both platforms for sure.
I am so surprised that not very many people are not on both.
Well, I think that kind of relates to this one. I can't see who it is. So if you want me to be able, or Jay or any of us to be able to see who you actually are on Facebook, because of the way the technology works, you have to click that little thing up there that says allow StreamYard to see your information. But to whomever, he said, I've had pretty good, obviously, I'm only running one platform. I'm sure more platforms will increase that even further. Yes, the value of any platform is only in its ability to bring you traffic. So there are tons of platforms out there. Airbnb is one of the larger ones. VRBO is one of the larger ones. And then you have all of these smaller ones. And I think that what I hear in that question is just something I wanted to point out is you think the more places you are, the better. And that's not always the case. What that can do is bring what I was alluding to earlier, inefficiencies into your business, because now it's costing you money to kind of monitor just pricing on all of those different places and answer all those types of questions and things like that. So I think actually adding too many platforms can sometimes be counterproductive to profitability.
Well, and I think it's important to note also that the staying on one platform for a while will help you.
Expert tools, expertly.
Yes.
Does that help you get out what you want to say?
It does. It helps you get to know that platform. You can figure out your pricing on that platform. You can kind of look at the competition on the platform.
There's that bad word again.
And but you get to know that platform and how to operate on that platform, because each platform is different.
They are.
And your pricing in each platform will be different.
But
I don't know
that's a longer conversation. You're going to open up a rabbit hole.
I don't know if I want to go
and then
down
we'll give
that
you too
road.
many more secrets.
I don't know if I want to go down that road, because it's complicated. Pricing is complicated. Don't lose money number. Yes, that's the Warren Buffett number.
Where did you see that? Oh, here.
Yeah.
Yes, the don't lose money number.
Yeah.
I love that number.
I know.
I hate to lose money. It's a very important number.
That's good. Is Turo safe to use? Look right here. Oh, you just moved it.
Is Turo safe to use? I've never used Turo.
I haven't either, but we do know people who do.
I know people that do it. I'm not sure if you mean from a user perspective or from an operator perspective. but my understanding, having looked into it, I do not have anything on Turo currently, but having looked into it, it seems to be a pretty solid platform on both ends. But in anything, there's always risk, of course.
Kimberly says, thank you so much. This is very helpful information.
I'm so glad,
Excellent.
Kimberly.
Very good.
Thank you for watching.
Yes.
I hope you got something. I hope we didn't give away too many secrets.
If you have questions, you can go to, what's that?
It's cashflowdiary.com/ask, A-S-K.
Mm-hmm.
cashflowdiary.com/ask.
Go here, because I've got something else.
That's not what you thought.
Yeah, right here. This is it right here.
Oh yeah. So I did put these in the description, by the way. But
yes, okay.
Yes,
Good.
and I don't have these to put up on the screen, unfortunately. But yeah, it's cashflowdiary.com/ask. Also, cashflowdiary.com/live will take you to the dedicated Facebook page for the lives. And if you want to listen to the podcast, it's cashflowdiary.com/listen. If you're on YouTube, it's cashflowdiary.com/watch. And if you want some pretty solid information, you can get that for free at cashflowdiary.com/playbook. I was just looking that over today. That's a free download that you can get that will give you a lot of similar information to this and more to help you get started in your short-term rental business. So
Good job.
hopefully that was helpful.
Good job. Good job. Very nice. Well, it's past lunchtime.
Yes. So Wendy's
now I'm
hungry.
hungry for a burger.
And if I wanted to leave you with one final thing, it's this. Oh, not that. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong one. The more value you bring, the less competition you have.
Beautifully said.
The more value you bring, the more less competition you have, and the higher your profitability at the same time.
Yes.
So
go answer that question from Ewan. What's roadmap?
Oh, what's roadmap? Okay, yeah. So go back to the beginning of the of this broadcast, and we did talk about it, but just very briefly. Roadmap is the flagship product for CashFlow Diary. What it is it's a way for students to get together with each other and Jay. It's a program where we walk you step by step how to build, get started, scale. We talk about these type of topics in depth in that group. It's the education product from CashFlow Diary. As part of that, you will not only get what you would expect is I get a course and some information. And yes, you do get that, but you also get currently 4 group coaching calls with Jay per week, which are super valuable. And you get a dedicated accountability coach who is that third part of the program that will personalize it for you and help hold you accountable and help kind of guide you through this journey and becoming profitable and making more money, which is something we all, I think, want in the short-term rental space.
Well said. Well said.
All right. I think that's it. But yeah, go back to watch the beginning, and I think I explained it a little bit better.
Mr. Casey has a question. How often are you monitoring your pricing per week?
That's a secret, Mr. Casey. That's a secret. The answer is twice a week. And the more you might ask, well, how do you pick those 2 days? What I do is I look at the data that we have and I say, what days of the week are people inquiring and booking with us? And I do my pricing the day before so that when they actually do book with us, they get the most updated pricing and we get the most profitability.
Can I just brag on Mr. Casey here just for a second?
Okay, go for it.
Just for a second.
Yes.
I know just a second.
Go ahead, brag away.
Because he has just done an amazing job. And I believe that he's going to be live tomorrow. So please watch the live tomorrow because he's going to come on and tell about his experience. And I just happen to be his coach. And I just want to brag on him and tell him how proud I am of him because I know that he had some obstacles to overcome, and the main obstacle that he had to overcome was his fear, and he did it.
He sure did.
And
he didn't quit.
Yes.
He did not quit. And
I'm so proud of you. I just want you to know, I want to tell everybody that I am so proud of you for overcoming your fear, most of all, and seeing the results that you got. I hope you tell everybody tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't want to spill the beans, but
I'm not spilling the beans, but
tune in tomorrow.
It's very exciting. It's very exciting. He's got a great story to tell. So,
are you sure that's tomorrow?
I believe so.
Okay.
If you go here, I believe I remember seeing that tomorrow somewhere.
Okay. I believe you.
If you scroll down a little bit more.
Let's go look and see what is the topic. Okay.
See?
So it's the story of Zarel just hitting go.
Yep.
Just hitting go.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I see why. Okay.
Yep.
So you'll have to tune in tomorrow to get that story. It's a really good one.
Exciting.
It's a good one, and it will inspire you.
Yes.
It will inspire you.
Yes, it will. All right, everybody.
All right. Until next time.
Until next Sunday, when we have no idea what we're going to be talking about, but I'm sure it's going to be just as valuable.
Yes.
So,
we'll see you then.
Bye.